Welcome to Series 3, Episode 4 of Entangled Discussions, Quantum Rules, the World and More. So across this monthly theme, we focused on how quantum interacts with business, from banking to insurance, and technology, and so much more. One thing that's been clear all the way through this is there are some meta themes that link all of the topics exploring the businesses and technological arena. So on today's show, we're going to be discussing a huge range of topics, exploring the ethical and moral challenges facing quantum, the legal requirements, how jurisdictions interact, and interest at a national level, international level, and beyond. So these are some huge themes with really important ramifications. So I'm glad to be able to welcome Malak Trabelsi Loeb, whose extraordinarily broad background and range of expertise allows us to dive right into some of the most critical issues the future holds. Welcome, Malak.
Thank you so much. Thank you, John. I'm so happy to be here, and I welcome everyone join us and whoever is going to watch us on YouTube or on LinkedIn or on other socials or social handles. It's when I see the title, the world and more, and I'm like, what about space? You know, I'm the space person. You know, I'm the space person. So yes. Quantum around the world. One of the things, like, let's say, because a lot of people, they think like some professionals, they have broad topics that they are interested in, or they are practicing within, different sectors, different topics, and they think, well, this person probably, like, if that person doesn't have or doesn't grasp one sector in particular, probably it's like the knowledge is not that much into depth. And here I refer to one of write-ups that I've done. It's about the legal industry and the way how legal practitioners go within this, let's say, revolution. What we are living today is disruptive, like within this era of innovation, disruptive technologies, the way that technologies are and the pace of technology is going very, very fast. Like, I worked with a lot of practitioners, legal practitioners. I worked with a lot of people from different backgrounds. And I worked also with multidisciplinary people that they are, let's say, their main profession is in the legal industry, and they have a very good knowledge in technologies, in let's say, whether it's AI or blockchain and so on. And today, after what happened within the situation of COVID-19, we see that the legal practitioner, if he did not use information communication technologies and a good mastering into the way how communicate from like through ICT satellite technologies, and the way how the legal practitioner practice into international arena means, like, you're not sitting in one area and you're just making your profession related to a certain jurisdiction. There is a problem, because actually you are getting yourself into a box that we saw right now, and I assisted in few conferences during the situation of the COVID-19 and the lockdown, and so many jurisdictions even did not have, like, the problem. They did not have infrastructure, technological infrastructure to work through ICT and to work through internet and so on in specific jurisdiction, let's say in developing countries. people did not access to justice, and lawyers and legal practitioners did not have work. Some of them, they closed their places because our offices, because they couldn't even pay their rent, they couldn't get paid, and so on. So the thing is, like, for today, you see the rise of multidisciplinary professionals, and technologies is within our everyday things, and that's why I got into so many areas of interest in technologies, whether it's AI, quantum. Of course, I don't say that I am AI expert, or I am quantum expert, or I'm expert in any technologies. I learn like everyone else is having his executive education, and I educate myself. For example, I did not have any background in quantum physics, and actually what I've done, I don't have time to go to universities and start from scratch, because actually I cannot do that with every discipline or every technology that it came to my way. So what I do, I took classes, and I continue taking classes in quantum physics. Of course, it's not into depth. I wouldn't say that today I am a quantum physicist, of course not, far away, but it's like what it's needed for me when I'm talking with a quantum physicist or quantum, let's say, person in quantum business. I would understand. If I don't understand, I go ask professionals to try to explain to me. And of course, what is very, very interesting is being 2 steps ahead of where we are going now, in order to see how the governance is going to be done. And that's why we call people, they have some futuristic insight in order to see what's going to come, and the risks is going to be there. When I enter into the space industry, or before I entered to the space industry, I was still in international business law. When we say international contracts or due diligence, merger acquisitions, and all these kind of areas of international business law, I got into the space insurance, and from the space insurance, I started knowing the risk in space, basics of technologies, space technologies, and also basics of risks of for example, technologies related to spacecraft, satellites, and so on, in order to understand and know how to go further and to practice and to be into that area. And that's how I come to quantum. And this is the thing. When I say international business law, is like it's the commercial side of every sector, and people, they choose some sectors, others they don't choose sectors, but most likely, from my point of view, we need to understand the different jurisdictions, laws, in order.
Sorry, Malak, one second. Can people mute their microphones, please? We're getting a bit of feedback in. Thank you. Sorry, please continue, Malak.
Yes. So in order to understand what is the specific jurisdiction saying about that certain activities that it's coming into play, and what the international law in general is saying about that specific activities. And for example, I advise people in quantum startups, for example, with the business aspects of what they are doing, and the law aspects, because I get through people, they ask me for investments related advice, whether business or law, and that's how it came, and that's how I got into this field.
And so I think, obviously that the strands of applying business and legal knowledge to technology is becoming increasingly important, and we've seen the development of this within AI, for example, as AI is being rolled out. And I think in quantum, it seems that there's an idea that actually this needs to be implemented before it becomes a requirement. So and obviously, touching on AI and space, what is it that sort of led you to focus most recently on quantum?
Well, actually, I was saying being active into the space industry and legally and into the business activities. So I got into the situation that we are facing with the risks of quantum technologies, cryptography issues, and national interest issues. So and I started even sometimes back, probably it's like more than a year and a half before even seeing quantum that it's like today, and the achievements that today we are seeing, before even becoming really mainstream as we see it today. When I started posting about quantum and racing risks that might arise, so I had some people, they are like laughing. It's like, are you leaving space and you going into quantum, or what? Why are you changing your interest? I said, what I do in my work is different than what I do in raising, let's say, awareness about specific things and issues that they are around, and they could be a problem in terms of governance, and in terms of ethical use of technologies, and in terms of sustainabilities, in terms of human rights. So these are the things. Sometimes even I address things that that a little bit, making people think and use the critical thinking in order to come into a conclusion about what is at stake in that situation, and what is the risk that humanity can face in terms of like I said, whether it's ethical or human rights issue and so on. So quantum for me started with my advocacy about space sustainability, or what I'm calling it sustainable space for humanity. And actually, it's not only tackling the side of the environment. This is based on sustainable development concept, which is making the socio-economic development into, let's say, into a way that is going without deteriorating the space environment, and keeping space for the peaceful use, and also respect the intra and the intergenerational equity for the use of outer space. And of course, when we talk about that, there are the aspects of Earth and space. When it comes to quantum technologies, of course, we have the issues of satellite communications, and the issues of the national interest pertaining quantum computing, and the way how cybersecurities are addressed, and so on. So it started with that way, and continued. So most importantly, I have some people and investors, and people that are looking for investments, coming to me to get my advice, in order to advise from the national security aspects of the quantum activities that they are engaged into their startup. And here, what so many times I raise awareness about it, especially after some incidents happening with the national interest issues, that it was everywhere in the media for people that they are in space, I think, and quantum, or I'm not sure about what, but they were related to quantum technologies, that they, like entrepreneur or scientists, they maybe did not have that idea about falling under specific jurisdiction and the scrutiny of national interest policy, and related regulations and laws. And actually they do things without coming back to see what is at stake and what can get them in trouble.
And if we can sort of stay with that theme, because within quantum there's a lot of nascent technologies, a lot of young businesses, and a particularly a strong trend of people coming from academia and scaling companies very quickly. What do you see as the sort of the biggest pitfalls for people that are at this stage that maybe haven't got necessarily the awareness or that don't know necessarily the legal requirements or how to implement ethical requirements? Where do you see that there's perhaps an education required within the market?
Yes. First of all, actually, you asked different questions. The first one is the scientific issues to this. The second one is the ethical issues that can be at stake that we are not aware about. The third one is the pitfalls of entrepreneur into this sector. And actually, I would start with the pitfall of the entrepreneurs and go backward one by one, because actually when I speak about the pitfall of entrepreneur coming from academia, it will actually sum up some of the issues that the others are facing also or could face. The issue of entrepreneur, it's like into the quantum, other than just the issue of national interest, which we need to be educated about it and not to enter into gray, because there are a lot of gray zones in this area, and we see regulations or we see policies and some issues coming up and blocking collaboration, international collaboration, and blocking some scientific joint projects. So entrepreneurs that they are coming, most of them coming from the quantum, coming into the quantum industry, they are coming from academia. So most of what I observed and what I like, the research I do and people I talk to and some others that they come for advice, the main issue is the business aspects, like doing business, being an entrepreneur and doing business. You're coming from academia and you are just, you haven't, for example, you haven't your patent, or maybe you don't have a patent and you want to be into it. So the issue is like, there are different factors. It starts from your innovation and how you patent or how you are entering into a partnership with that patent or without patent, and you want us to make a new, you enter to the ecosystem and you come up with something innovative to fill a gap. And we know that there are a lot of gaps needs to be filled in this ecosystem. Is the thing is like, it starts from the knowledge and know how to start a business, how to make a business, which jurisdiction, if you are, let's say, international person, which jurisdiction you will form your company in. And this one, it comes into, a lot of study, risk assessment, legal assessment, ecosystem assessment within the jurisdiction that you are, determinants that you want to meet, and you want to know what are the economic determinants within that jurisdiction that they can, you can strive in and can help you to grow in that one and grow your business, and whatever funds possibilities you can have. And I had a lot of people come in my way that are, for example, they studied in one country and they are there, their nationality is in another country, they have the possibility to go to third country because they have their partner in another one. And here comes the thing is like, risk assessment is very important. Legal risk assessment is important, business risk assessment in terms of partnership is even more important, because actually partnership is what we know very well. It's just like a marriage, and you're going to be with those people, like you aim to be with those people forever, because you want your business to be forever until some people, they pass their businesses to their a family member or so on. So here we have a very small ecosystem that it's forming, but we need to look in the long run. You have also the other determinants in that. For example, you are in a country where you have an ally country, and it's allowing joint collaboration. And why would you go to another country, for example, that you will have some legal hurdles and issues because of different factors? So there are, like I said, there are some risks needs to be put into perspective even before forming the company, during the company formation, during the company activities, when you are having your company and you are having your partners. And you are active, it's very important to know, first of all, the strategy, who you are approaching or who is approaching you for your funding opportunities, how to make the best of the funding. For example, if you are going into accelerator, or you are approaching your whoever has from the governmental side, need to know what are they're going to fund, but what are the terms and conditions, and in terms of longevity of the projects, and the other issues. And of course, there are some things that they are related to the people's knowledge in terms of doing business. Is very, very important. There are ethical aspects of doing business. There are business aspects of doing business. There are issues that, for example, do not copy someone into an email that person you talk to one time and ask for an advice, and he never say anything, and find himself, for example, copied in an email which is very sensitive information to that email. So that one is no, and I came across things like that. So the thing is, like I want to say, making mistakes, it's human, but there are mistakes that you can make. It can cost big problems in terms of opportunities that you could have, but the door is closed because that. And of course, another thing which is very important is never too late to learn. Saying I don't know, and go and try to understand and learn and continue that executive formation. It's very, very important today. Even if you are into like, for example, I am in the legal industry, and I see that, for example, in UAE, it's because the way how the country is developing, it's amazing, very, very fast. So I need to keep pace of what is going on, and the laws is going on, and I need to and every week I need to go back and study the law, how it was, how it became, and what is at stake, and learn. Also learning different, for example, technologies, or if you are in specific area and you want to, or it like the other kind of how I'm going to say, discipline. It's not, you're not familiar with it. It's never too late to do that. Learn. I mean, we are like that. I'm not young, and I keep on learning, and I will never stop learning. So some people, they have, and I see a lot of academic people, and I'm not the best. I'm just a human, and I'm like everyone else, and I have my pitfalls also, and I work on myself. It's not to say like giving lectures and saying this, but I've seen some people that they attend very, very high level. They start let's say know everything, and they are not open to listen to new ideas and learn and get their mind open in order to have that humility. And actually scientists, and I say it all the time, if you are a scientist, is like the best quality it can be amazing in you is to be down to earth and to have that sense of continuing to understand things and learn things. And that's why you have a lot of people resisting change and resisting new ideas. And we see that in specific technologies. Like, for example, in AI, so many amazing people, they are into their things, and they don't want to hear others. In quantum, actually, I had, when I started, raising awareness about quantum computing and saying quantum computing is coming, so they are into quantum physics. They laugh at me and they tell me it will never happen. So some of them today, they send me and they say sorry about that, because actually money talk, when they see the funds that it's injected from a public institution into projects that they are working in quantum computing, then they know here is coming. But yeah, unfortunately, that's the thing.
And so I think from that, I think it's the strands are, do your due diligence, always keep learning and be open to new ideas. And I think that's good advice in business, in science, and in life as well. And I think that there's kind of two aspects to that as well. So you've got the individual, what the entrepreneur does, and then if you zoom out, you touched on national interests, and we've seen, I think, the EU has pushed forward on some, well, it's not a nation, but some interests that are to the EU that have caused controversy. We've seen the States and China, for example, on certain areas come into competition, and a lot of quantum is at the sort of pre-competitive stage. So what do you think about how this international interest aspects might evolve, and also how do you think it should evolve, more importantly?
Well, actually, I cannot, because every country has its way of putting their policies, and national interest or national security is very it's in the essence of states. When I say states, means country. Now I'm going to speak public law. So when we talk about national security, each state is empowered by the international community. It's empowered under international treaties and agreements, and empowered by also its people within the country under the constitution to protect its public interest. National security, national interest is very important to each state to protect the welfare of the nation, and to protect from all kind of rivalry, from all kind of any harm can come from other nation. So thank God today we have all these in place, that we know very well, each country, how it is functioning. There is transparency in order to see how, for example, when it comes to foreign investor. When I say foreign investor, it means like any investor is investing in a way like through equity, through any mean of investment schemes into an activity within a host country. A host country is the country that the foreign person comes to invest, to open his, for example, startup in quantum and wants to make it. If ever he gets the approval from his own country and from from the host country. So just as an example, speaking about quantum, this happening in any kind of sector, whenever there's elements touching the national security interest within the country. So now I go back to the main. To the thought, when you have a foreigner coming and wants to open a business within specific activities that it can fall under the national interest scope. For example, some activities into semiconductors you know, in various countries. This is it can be an issue for national interest. It depends of the jurisdiction and the law they have. So for example, if we want to take China and US, okay, and we want to speak about the national interest issues that it's going on, you can see space is a problem. Okay, it goes under scrutiny. So there's it depends of the national regulation and the national law how it goes. Either you need to inform through you need to make the specific competent authority aware about this activity is fallen under this and this. So then maybe you need to inform some others. They will know based on the for example the licensing or the authorization that you are having for, in these kind of things. So once you are under the scrutiny of that specific authority and that specific law, because actually we have the mechanism. The mechanism can be the law itself and the committee that it's specialized within that area in order to review your activities, and they say you can make it or not. Or even if you are active within that activity, some problems can arise later on, and they can tell you, you know something, you have a problem, the national interest is at stake in this situation, and for example, we take away the license. You know, it happens, and this is something that it's been regulated internationally for some time now. When you are fallen under the international investment law and investment treaties, bilateral treaties, and so on, so you know already, or your lawyers know already the risks that it can happen, because it can go back to your to this you know agreements, and can see what is at stake for the future and what you have at stake for now, and how to you know try to mitigate the risk, or probably leave it alone and go to some other places. But the issue is happening, and here we have other mechanisms that they can solve any legal matters that it arises regarding, for example, a country or a state, a government that say during, like, you have a factory into a component, for example, I will say component related to it's used or can be used in quantum computing. So you've been active for some time, and all in a sudden you will be informed that your license will be revoked, will be taken away. So in that case, you lose your investment, you lose your or you risk to lose the investment, you risk to lose all what you've done in that jurisdiction for so long. So here comes the international investment law, and where to go based on you know all the existing treaties, agreements, and between the countries that you are from and the country that it's hosting you. But it's getting very, very complicated, and I don't want to complicate things. Just that it's like I try to break it down. So it goes to the way how to solve that issue. Some problems can be solved in let's say a manner that the investor, the foreign investor, can you know find a solution with the government in order to mitigate the risk. Others just they go to international arbitration, and you have many venues. It depends if you have in a contract between you and the country, the government, that when you set up your investment or your factory or so on, to solve out where to go. Usually international investors, they don't like to go to the country's courts, because actually there is a problem that it can be biased, and the money it would be crazy amounts of monies, and you know it can happen. So also you have mergers and acquisitions. If you are in a country and you want to make a merger, and you need to go through the scrutiny of the committee that it is in charge of the approvals from different aspects. It can be from competition aspects, like competition law aspects. It can be from national interest aspects, and probably they can tell you, no, you cannot. So here it's also putting at stake a loss and the risk and issues that could happen and can be a problem. And here, how to balance the interests. Actually, the government has an imperative to protect its national interest, and at the end of the day, investors or quantum startup has its interest and want to protect it. And how to reconcile that risk in between. And here comes, like I said, arbitration law and other venues to solve these issues. And that's why it's very, very important to be aware about this situation.
And there's obviously with the legal side of things, a certain amount of it comes down to zeitgeist and opinion and different national interests. And I appreciate there's probably no sort of one size fits all, but how fit for purpose do you think the global legal framework is when it comes to quantum and particularly the unknown aspects of quantum? Well,
am I there?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. When it comes to quantum, actually, you have right now an ecosystem that is very complicated. It's getting more and more complicated. You have some allies and you have some rivalry, and in a way that when there is a subject touching international interest, of course, it's very important to go back and see how this is working and what are what is allowed in that, in a way to go back to each country regulation, because actually there is no international law governing quantum right now. But you can find some laws that quantum can go under its scope. So for example, if you are talking about investments into quantum startups or quantum in general, and you know very well that it can fall under investment law. So when it's international investment law, and international investment law, you have different kind of treaties, and you have many so many bilateral agreements. So we need to check which country and what are the countries that are playing within this situation. So there's no one solution fits for all. Like I said, when you have a contract, international contracts, and all these happening with international contracts, whether it's business contracts, like private law contracts, that contracts fallen under international private law, or you have international contracts that are fallen under international public law. And when we say public law, there is a party of the situation is a public person, means a government, a country, or another like NGOs or whoever can have can be a person under international or under international public law. So here, when we are talking about contracts, there is no contracts fit for all. There's no, for example, you are John, I am Malak. We want to make a contract, international contracts of sales of goods. Will never be one contract fits for all, even we are the same people, because we need to check the origin of the goods. We need to check which competent law that we're going to choose. We can choose different competent law unless there is something is mandatory that we need to agree upon. So it's that way. That's the thing for the international legal practitioner, is really putting everything on the table and see this particular situation, what it comes at play, which law is applicable, what are the issues that can be at stake, if there is any competition of law rules that can apply, and what are the risks. And when I say this, for example, if we choose one jurisdiction court, okay, I need to check very well if that jurisdiction court, if you come and challenge me that it cannot be seen by this court, I need to check what are the other situations that you can challenge me that I don't go to that court. So I need to buckle up all the loopholes within the contracts that situation will remain. And this is what we call the predictability of the parties into the contracts. So I need to know very well that my law is applicable. And this is also for the applicable law. I can challenge any applicable law in a contract, because if I can find any loophole in the contracts that can challenge the applicable law, I can do it and see which other laws can be applicable. Even if we chose it, and this is what I say some people, even if we chose the law, the lawyer can find a way to challenge the venue, the applicable law and the chosen court. So this is even though it's going to be fine, it's going to steer problems.
And obviously with the Entangled discussions, we are open to discussion with the audience, and we've had some questions coming in. And Kumar, if you wouldn't mind joining us to ask your question. Okay, so Malak, Kumar was interested about the investigating industrial materials. So he's used molecular dynamics as an example, but within quantum, how could you investigate? And I think what he's alluding to is perhaps an IP issue, where materials under IP are being used improperly on an industrial scale. How would that come into play from I believe this is asked from an international perspective, but it doesn't specify. But yeah, I'd be interested to know a little bit more about how that might come into play. And obviously for everyone else, please feel free to ask your questions.
Yes, so here the question is about the detection of it's about actually, Kumar, can you rephrase the question exactly? It's like what is at the question is about the industrial scale in terms of the material detection. What can you just rephrase the question? I'm little. It's not about the issue of the technical parts, but I don't understand where you want to go with the questions. Like what area you want to address? Are you addressing the ethical problem, or are you addressing, because I see two different things probably. The first one is collaboration, maybe if it's in the international aspects. Can you rephrase it, please, Kumar?
And whilst whilst you're waiting,
good evening. Yeah, hi Zon, hi Malka. Yeah, I'm talking about exactly in international collaborations regarding how exactly then we can investigate and detect the exact material behind that. How will be exactly the design of the quantum computing? So how can you basically, the one of these basically talking about that first question is regarding the selection of the material to choose which exactly the industry is exactly the providing the exact material for designing of the quantum computing or quantum gate. And second is basically I'm talking about some technical issue that is regarding the performance of the structure of the modeling of the quantum computers or quantum gates. So yeah, definitely for the first, obviously the collaboration regarding the what exactly, how we choose the startup, the industry, or any other some industrial aspect of the basically the academias or any researcher, basically they can provide the exactly the collaboration as well as the funding and other things. This is the first. And second is in respect of how we'll choose exactly the material and the which is exactly the investigation, where is basically the investigation in respect of everything in ethical issues or national security, as you already told that regarding that. So this is basically my question is regarding to you, and yeah, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the question. I thought I did, but it's I wanted to make sure. So actually, your questions go under, the two questions go under many questions that I have in mind, and many questions I've been trying to answer. And actually, when we talk about collaboration, for me, like in order to get quantum computing, scaling up and coming into like with all the companies that they are working and the money that it's poured through from different big tech companies, is the issue is like, are we able to see quantum computing within the next 2 years or 3 years? Because actually some they say 2023, some they say or 2024, and most they say it's about like in 10 years from now. And the thing is, like, if you are saying in 10 years from now, and we have this technology that is going to be to give us a quantum leap on Earth and beyond, when I say and beyond, actually robotics, satellites, habitats, you name it, everything that will be going on into outer space, it will democratize space, it will solve all the issues that we have on Earth. But with the mindset that we have today, I don't see it coming at all in the next 2 years. I don't see it coming in the next 4 years, because actually the race that we are seeing today, it's a race between the real race. It's a race between giants, and each one is going to, trying to get a competitive advantage in order to be the first to do that. So the thing is, like, is it healthy for the ecosystem, and is it healthy with this competition between countries for humanities at the end of the day? Are we in a situation that we want to make our evolution happening based on ethical ground? Which, when I say ethical ground, there are a lot of aspects into the ethical ground, and main one for me, it's when it comes to equity. Equity is very, very important. So given quantum computing in the hand of big techs, okay, and given the quantum computing capabilities into developing countries, who are having the means to make it happen, who are having these countries, they have competitive advantage to achieve supremacy, or which so many people in quantum, they don't like that word, but it's still there. And to my sorrow, we say it, because at the end of the day, yes, it will give supremacy even more to these countries, and the other ones, it will be down. No, I will say other, I will go toward other questions that they fall under the two questions that you said. So when we talk about quantum technologies and law, regulations, governance, business practices, and so forth, many questions come into play. The first one, which law is applicable on the situation, as I said before, in which a quantum technology is at stake? And when I say which law, which jurisdiction, which countries, and so on, and international law also can be there. So what type? The second question is, like, what type of IPs, intellectual properties, can protect the components of a scalable quantum computing? Here, there's a question also, because like there is, like I said, the gray area, and the IPs is going to be given as the other intellectual properties for the duration, because I've seen some advocates, they say they wanted to get these protection for 2 to 5 years only. I mean, if you work so hard on a technology.
Sorry, Malak, 1 second.
Okay.
Hi, Manan. So can you mute your screen? Thank you. Sorry, Malak, please continue.
It's fine, it's fine. So I was speaking about the IP protection. Some advocates, they say that the IP protection for quantum related, scalable component of quantum computing should be lesser than others. And if you are making it lesser than other, actually there's an ethical factor into it, which is just allowing others to enjoy this component and not to be, let's say, the rental is further. But also I look at it from the other perspective. So it needs to be also asked. The other one, are there enough innovation incentives for the development of quantum software and hardware structures? This is very, very important things, and what needs to be thought about from a regulation perspective. And of course, over-regulating any technology is going to backlash. And I see a lot of people in II that are very, very upset at the way that that the European Union is going to regulate AI, and some they say too late. But here we are in the right time within the quantum technologies, but there are a lot of things at stake.
Sorry, Malak.
So can you mute your mics, please?
I'm just going to mute everyone, Malak. If you turn your mic back on. Malak, if you can turn your mic back on, please. Thank you. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay. So the other question is, what are the situations when it comes to an open source ecosystems applied on your particular quantum activities? So this goes into the collaboration thing. And then you have the pitfalls of the national interest. So what can be democratized and what can be let in an open source ecosystem? And here I remember there's one white paper I read, a very, very good one, to someone, I forget the name, and he was speaking about big projects, huge projects, like, for example, big habitat, not habitat, but research center on the moon. And in that particular thing, and this was before Artemis projects or Artemis Accord starts being signed. So that white paper addressed big projects, saying that if you do not have other CERNs, like in different activities, you will not have huge breakthrough technologies and innovative breakthroughs that we had with CERN in terms of research, development, like crazy things happening in physics that we see with CERN. So here, it's very important to have open source ecosystem in this quantum technologies aspects. So the other question is, like, how can we input some scalable software to, like, into the public domain, which help democratizing quantum technologies? I know some universities, they have that when it comes to AI. I don't know if there's anything happening with quantum. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it. So the other question is, like, should we create global quantum safety, security standards and make them mandatory in each area of application? And here I say international community can make that if they agree to do it, and they do not continue into the rivalry that we are seeing right now. So when it comes to regulating quantum computing, quantum internet and communication and sensing, there's another question, is like, how can we make it socially responsible? Actually, say sensational, waves that we can make it into the society, it can help. It's like to be to have that social responsibility feeling into people into quantum. So there's another one is, how about the culture? Can we make it culturally sensitive, like the ethical issues, in order to play a crucial role in the regulation? So all these questions are there, and all these questions are there for the regulator in order to make quantum technologies like quantum 2.0 democratize and making it happening. And there's one big, for me, one big problem is even more than all these issues is, like I said, the problem of the developing countries, that they don't have the know-how, they don't have people that they went, like the education system or whatever, they do not have brains within that area within the quantum technologies, and also they don't have the right ecosystem, so they will be left behind. The other ones, they will be ruling more even than before. So the thing is, like, what will happen when we change all the infrastructure of the communication systems and we move to quantum technologies? So what will happen to those countries, to the developing countries? So all these things are there, and opening discussion and raising awareness in order to make. I have my ideas to all these questions, but the thing is, like, my ideas and on my own, of course, that's why I'm raising awareness about all these things. So people, they participate in the awareness and they raise awareness and they advocate. Well, how about Africa? I mean, I'm coming originally from Africa, so I'm African person, and I know very well the ecosystem in my country and in all Africa. So what's going to happen if we start changing all the infrastructure, and it should be quantum compatible? So what will happen? We will have another issues with the countries will borrow money from the other countries in order to make this, or China will come and build and put her hand, China's what is doing in Africa already, put in hand in mines and critical infrastructure and critical area in order to make that country stay in debt forever. So it's another kind of so that's it. And I will let you, maybe you have ideas about these questions that I asked, and you can participate in this debate.
And I think as well, obviously the national interests aspect is hugely evolving, but I think Rupesh has a question. I think that will sort of stretch the boundaries a little bit. So Rupesh, if you'd like to come in, please.
Hi, Malak. Thanks for a great talk. So this one's much more futuristic, but do you see or envision quantum computers in space or even off-world as nation states accelerate both their space programs and quantum programs?
I see it coming. I see also other worlds. It's futuristic, and you know something, Rupesh? Today I'm going to make small articles that it came to my mind because of the alien hype that it's going on today, and I open a lot of discussion on social media and other people to understand how what the role of sci-fi in shaping the culture, making innovation happening, and the pitfall of sci-fi, science fiction. And now you are talking about the way how we see the future, and most likely our way of seeing the future is mostly coming, whoever is having futuristic insight is like, I know very well it's coming from Star Trek or Stargate. And that's why people, they are so much into aliens today and so anticipating for aliens, but we're not, let's say, psychologically ready for that. But actually we are in a way used to these ideas because of science fiction. But actually, based on, and I will ask you a question now, based on my question to some people that they are in quantum computing and the way how quantum computing could create worlds. Is it possible to duplicate our reality into quantum computing and having us, for example, like in the matrix in quantum computing and so on? This is the first question that I would like to ask scientists in order to see the feasibility or the way how we are going. This is one question for you, Rupesh. But seeing quantum computing in outer space right now, there are some accords that are signed between governments. So many that the Artemis program is a program made by United States, and you have I even lost track how many countries they make like a letter of intent in order to participate in the Artemis program, and infrastructures is going to be there. Some contracts are going on within the commercial sector, like new space sector, we call it, for like between the governments and some commercial entities in the space sector in order to prepare for the Artemis infrastructure related that it's going to be kicking off soon, hopefully after this hardship of the pandemic. But I know very well, for example, UAE signed the Artemis Accord with the United States, and they already signed an agreement with one of the companies, I think it's iSpace, to send the first rover on the moon, and it will be coming from UAE. So actually they are preparing for the infrastructure on the lunar infrastructure. Of course, Mars is something else that we let Elon Musk work on it right now. So much, let's say, wishful thinking for now, and hopefully it will happen one day when the rockets kick off and start being functioning. Well, there's ethical issue to me, even though I am advocating for multiplanetary species, and for us to go into outer space and have settlements there, but saying that the first 100 people, they will die on Mars. I mean, there is the ethical issue, even if they accept to go. I mean, it's not ethical to send people to die to death there. It's a death sentence over there. So yes, I see the quantum computing there. Actually, Professor Matthew Kaku, he talked about quantum computing over there. He talked about sending our consciousness into outer space on the moon and so on, using quantum computing and other technologies. So this one, it was like talked about by some physicists and others. But my question is it true that we can simulate worlds and make our like similar to our reality into quantum, based on quantum computing technology?
Not today. Maybe one day.
But is it feasible?
Well, once you understand the potential, now we're talking about perfect qubits. We're talking about logical qubits, okay, which don't really exist.
Yes. But
right
in the far future.
Yeah. But if you have 300 of those logical qubits, and the way you measure the power of or the capacity of a quantum computer is 2 to the power 300, and that's a number that's bigger than the number of atoms in the known universe. So you tell me what we can do with that. And then if you have millions of those, then what?
Wow. So it's feasible. Then the second question I would like we are having a conversation now. You are active into the quantum business, let's say. So you're not in the hat of the physicist or scientist, and you are active in the quantum business. So you want to have, you want to have a competitive advantage, and you want to have the harness the technology and have that wow, eureka moment, and you say, I've done it and I have a patent. are you ready to go and make it open source? And this question is for everyone, because I have a lot of people, they want to have open source and they want collaboration and so on. Are you ready really to do it? Are you ready to put that competition far away and say, yes, I'm ready to share and I'm ready to get this going for everyone else in order to scale up and make it? Or just you want it in a small circle of people that you want to work with and so on? So this question is like for everyone, and I start with you, Rupesh.
Okay.
So what do you think?
I think that's the $64 trillion question, isn't it? And it's interesting that there are moves to make things open source. Is that to reach the point of critical mass because more brains and more talent's required? Will that be the ongoing standpoint? What happens when quantum becomes more competitive than it is now? The honest answer is I don't have the answer. no one's given me the keys to this. But
no one wants to answer this. Actually, there's one thing is very, very important to understand the way how the cycle of new sector, new ecosystem is going. You have so many startups, they are coming into this ecosystem, and this is like based on some other ecosystems I research about. So from economic perspective, so when we, for example, I take space, I take I'm not going to take AI as an ecosystem. I would take the space industry, and I will talking about sectors. I will take the space industry, and I will take another industry, for example, is the aviation. So in order so you have a lot, let's be in the space sector, because this is a sector where you have so many startups, and actually some companies, they are there for the past 15 years or 10 years and speak in the same language, and they did not scale up. And in academic writings, and in one of the so many talks that I talked about Darwinism in certain ecosystem, and I talked about Darwinism in space sector. So you have like so many space startups, and not all of them persist, not all of them stay there, because actually they have a lot of wishful thinking, and you know, they are there, and their technology is not scaling up, or they try to get the technology, or the technology is so old. So when we come to the way so many of them dies, I mean, Darwin take them away, and they're not there anymore. And then you have the other cycle comes, is the cycle of mergers and acquisition. And here my concern to the startups in quantum is, be aware of the mergers and acquisition, that they are predatory, because actually either they will be predatory merger and acquisition, or they will come while they see there's a potential and they try to buy you and or merge, and then scale up, and you end up by seeing your baby is going away from you, and you don't have the last decision making and so on. So these are the two things is to be aware of. The other thing is be aware of any investments that is going to come from the private sector, and this investment is coming from layered investment funds. So it's coming from SPACs, and that SPACs is very difficult to know who they are because they are layered. We call them investors. So due diligence is very, very important in that case, also in order not to fall into a problem of getting your technology away from you into some other countries, and you will be falling back under the national interest, and you will be having issues.
Well, I think I think we're sort of, you know, getting to the stage where we're overrunning a bit, but I could carry this conversation on all day and all night. It's been fantastic, Malak. Thank you so much. And I think the logical answer is that you have to come back for a talk in future, as we've got so many areas that we've left uncovered. First of all, thank you, and to everyone in the audience. Next week on Tuesday at 4:30 BST, Malak will be returning with Esperanza, Danica, and Paolo from Quantum London. For all of our speakers this week will come back for an Entangled panel discussion where we can take the themes that have been discussed to the next level. So please come back and join us for that. It promises to be outrageously good. I also have a talk for SPIE on Thursday at 6 p.m. BST, kind of demystifying the jobs market and trying to help people either move into industry or further their careers in industry. We've got some really good speakers there, so feel free to come and join that. I've shared the details on my page. But first and foremost, Malak, thank you so much. It's been a fantastic talk.
You're welcome. If you like, because actually there are some area maybe it's not understandable in terms of law and the way how governance is happening. What I can do another time, if I come and you have me back, you're welcome, Christopher. What I will do is I will make a small comparison about the issues related to national interest from the main jurisdiction, EU, UK, United States, China, Japan, and so Japan is very important also because actually they are working also on very like bravely on quantum computing. So I can do that.
Perfect. Well, I think, you know, I'd certainly like to see some more information on that. And yeah, it's been a wonderful talk. So obviously I can't wait to have you back on next week. And I think, you know, certainly think that there's some interesting future talks to involve you with as well. So thank you, Malak. Thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.